Students, so we're thinking here about characterization. We've just talked about this element of characterization, and now you're going to have the opportunity to do a little bit of more analysis and to add to your handout that will help you prepare for class tomorrow to analyze this narrative technique. So let's come back to the quiz that you took just a moment ago where you analyzed these different sections of text. You looked here where Grab was scowling, realizing that they wouldn't have enough money. You looked here when we saw the text where Grab went along and encouraged Cut to think about killing Dip. And then lastly, you saw here the actual text where he stabs Dip in the neck. Where he stabs Dip in the neck and then pants and says, "Let's drink to our partnership. Where did he put the bottles?" So we see the development of the character of Grab through these three texts. And what I'd like you to do now is to go to your Google Classroom page and open your narrative techniques handout from class today. So it's the second most recent thing posted for you on Google Classroom, ELA, Tuesday, 10/20, narrative techniques. And you need to open this. Once you open it, you might have this version of the narrative techniques with a little visual support, or you might have this one. Either way, doesn't matter. You're going to add to the characterization box. I'm going to do the example on this document. So, for example, we're coming here and we're going to start with characterization. So when I think about characterization, how is this character developed? I'm going to click a bullet point because I love bullet points. I would encourage you to do the same. Keep your ideas nice and organized. So the first thing I would encourage you to think about is to start just simply with that first text that we looked at. How is Grab developed in this text? I hope that you identified the answer that he's developed as being a pretty greedy person here. And he is also shown to be kind of like using excuses to justify himself. So when I come here, I'm going to answer this question. I'm going to add the characterization. Grab is developed as greedy and justifying of his wrong actions. And I'll add this. Grab is characterized as greedy and justifying of his wrong actions. So I'd like you to go ahead and add that to your chart right now. Hit pause if you need to. But then I will need you to take that a step further, and we need to think about how. How is Grab characterized in this way? What are the textual features that cause him to be characterized like that? Then I want you to come here and add that text. You can go into the text. If you open your copy of The Partner's Tale, you can open it there. That's a great way to do it. Or you can go back to the text that I've already shown you here. And you can pull out a quote from here that supports your answer. And I want you to add that to, your document here. Document right here. And you'll add the how. So let's say in that example, what I notice here is that when he says, "Of course you realize we can't divide it three ways," he's justifying that he wants to try to cut out Dip. So I'm going to add that here. Of course you realize we can't divide it. We can't divide it evenly three ways. And I'll take out that how, and I'm just adding my evidence. So what I hope that you've done so far is that you've added a characterization of Grab, and you've also added a quote that supports. What I want to get you to see here, though, is that you can see that this is also an example of dialogue. This is something that Grab is saying. It's using his words to show that. So I also would like you to come here to dialogue, and I want you to add a bullet point here, and I want you to add this quote. Grab scowled. To scowl is to say something angrily. Grab scowled. Of course, you realize we can't divide it evenly three ways. Notice that when I have a quote inside of a quote, I use just the one mark and then the two on the outside. Okay? So now I've got an example of dialogue and an example of characterization. What I'd like you to do now, if you hit enter and then hit enter again, it'll take you back to the outside. What I'd like you to do now is you're going to add at least 2 more examples of characterization of how Grab is characterized. So you could start this again by saying grab is characterized as blank. And then you'll, of course, give the evidence here again. Okay, this is your work to complete your homework for today. Please be attentive to it and give it your best effort.